in addition, we fleeced about $500,000 away from our citizens. And what's really sad is that the company thinks it was fine that 3/4 of that 500,000 came from citizens not even living, just happened to be driving through our city. It's not an image that we want.
$500,000 is a lot of money, and I'm sure would help the city budget.
Well, and that's what they've done. They've sold it to a lot of cities, and they've really intoxicated a lot of police chiefs. And what they've said was, here's an opportunity to buy new police cars, here's an opportunity to buy computers for your, and not have to tax the citizens. But what they're doing—
They told you this?
No, what they're doing is they're using police chiefs to try and sell it to the cities. And this is where, their money, is going to law enforcement.
But money wasn't really, you weren't seeing a lot of it.
Well, they get 91% of it. And so, yes, we're not seeing a lot of it. But even if we weren't, we'd have the same argument. This is unfair. The ticket in Missouri, if you get a ticket, they are required to send a notice to the Director of Revenue. The Director of Revenue assigns 2 points for every time you violate. In this case, I could violate this like on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even twice on Sunday, and I would get no ticket. Nothing going against my driver's license. That's what's wrong about this. We're playing games with the reason that we only photograph the license plate, because if we photograph the driver, then we would have to issue points against their driver's license. What a scam. We're not improving safety, we're ripping people off here.
But if you could get more money to help with streets or anything else, do you think it would be a better deal for the city?
No. I'm totally, my background is, I worked 5 years as a St. Louis policeman. I've got a Bachelor of Science in Administration. I will tell you, professional law enforcement people would say the same thing, is that you ought to have a police officer out here that can write this ticket.
Yeah.
And with $500,000, we could have bought or hired 3 or 4 additional police officers and had a much better, effect here.
I find it really interesting. I mean, you truly did your homework on this.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What'd you look at and what'd you find?
I tried looking at independent studies. A lot of these studies are
But I mean, even you looked at your own records, right?
I looked at the 3 years of accidents prior to the cameras going in, and the 3 years that the cameras were in. I analyzed there was 255 accidents in those years. What I did is put together what's called a scattergram, so you can pictorially see where your issues are. 60% of our issues of accidents at this intersection were from cars following too closely and they couldn't stop. 25 or 24% was actually inattentive. People on their cell phone, people yelling at their kids, people talking, just not paying attention. If you add those two together, we're at almost 85%. And you start looking at just accidents. If what they said was true, that they could prevent or reduce the number of accidents at this, in those same 6 years, those 255, there's only 14 accidents because people actually violated the light. That's 1.6%. We didn't have a problem before, and we still don't have a problem today. So what we're trying to correct is just plain BS.
Some people would argue that even that 1.6% is something.
Well, if you go to one of their sites, they actually have a young lady, and I think it's horrible. A young 10-year-old girl was killed down in the Arnold area. And in her description is very tearful and very heart-wrenching when you listen to the description. But what ATS has hidden from you is that little girl was not seatbelted. And when the driver violated the light and hit the car, she was ejected and the car rolled over and crushed her to death. That's a horrible way to die.
Right.
But it wasn't.
Was skewed.
It was skewed.
Yeah.
It was skewed. It was never, the whole story wasn't really told. It's the story they wanted you to hear, that if we put this in, it'll eliminate the accident. Not true. That intersection was 20 years old. It never had a fatal accident. But 3 years afterwards, there was never a fatal accident or a serious accident. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Truth doesn't follow what they're saying.
Couldn't have said it better. I'm going to switch over to Tim and talk to him about. And Tim, I'm going to ask